What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. I don't know if you guys have been awake the last week or you've been on Gymnastics Twitter, but there's been some comments made about our current Olympic team, our superheroes, if you will. So we're going to dive right in to the comments that were made by former Olympian Mykayla Skinner. Okay. There's a lot to unpack here. I've already made a little bit of a reaction because I wanted to make one not too long after all of this came about, and I made it on my TikTok. You can go to my TikTok and check out that little piece that I have, but I wanted to make also a YouTube video where I'm talking a little bit longer. We're diving into a little bit more clips and things said by her and just kind of talk it out. I think there's a lot of pieces to this situation that I'd like to unpack and give a piece on. Please comment down below your opinions and your pieces. Now, I do want to make it very clear, I am by no means encouraging anyone to be mean or bully Mykayla Skinner. I don't think fighting fire with fire is always the answer. There are times when fire with fire it might work. But I think in this situation, bullying Mykayla just probably isn't going to be a good answer. And I don't think it's the right answer to ever bully anybody. So I just want to be clear that I'm in no way encouraging anyone to bully her, interact with her in a way that is not a constructive criticism or a true good intention behind their comments. And that's what I want to be careful about in my video. I'm going to be very honest and very truthful in this opinion piece, but I want to make clear that I'm going to try my best to not be mean or come across ugly, although the truth might be hurtful, but that doesn't take away from the fact that the truth is the truth. And I'm going to try to say the truth and say, maybe from a different point of view on a lot of things that, Mykayla herself may not like, may not agree with, or other people may not agree and like, but I think it's still important for us to be able to communicate and try to communicate in a way where we're still standing behind the truth, where we can get to the issue at the head of the source, but we can do it in a way where we're not being belittling, degrading, bullying, mean, all those types of things. So I just kind of want to get my intentions out there and always be clear that I'm never encouraging anyone to bully, harass anyone. We can try to get the right message across in the right way, in a constructive way. So that's what I just want to make clear about all of this.
Stuff that I was talking about wasn't always necessarily about the current team, because I love and support all the girls that made it, and I'm so proud of them.
Mykayla Skinner is clarifying her controversial comments about Team USA. On July 3rd, the gymnast takes to her Instagram stories to defend herself amid backlash that came after she made some comments about gymnasts' work ethic on Team USA. The comments were initially made in a since-deleted YouTube video. Now Mykayla is explaining what she meant and apologizing for any misunderstanding.
Hey guys, just wanted to pop on here really quick because I know we did the recap on YouTube, and I feel like a lot of you guys had misinterpreted or misunderstood exactly what I was meaning or had...
Okay, first and foremost, I think if she's going to continue to be... What is she? I don't know. Is she like now a gymnastics analyzer, commentator? Is she just giving her piece with it? Like whatever she's doing, whatever. I'm fine with and I respect. She has the right to do it. I'm just confused because somebody asked me, they're like, "What does Mykayla Skinner do?" I was like, I don't really know. I don't know what it is she does. I don't know if it's just, if she does social media, she makes money off of that. I'm pretty sure she's in a multi-level marketing scheme. You know how it is in Utah. So I don't really know what she does. So my question is, if she's going to continue doing whatever it is she does on social media, she really needs to be media trained because she picks her words really poor. And I'm like, I want to be devil's advocate with Mykayla. and I said this in a TikTok video, and again, this is going to come across really mean. I'm not trying to. I really just want to be honest here. Mykayla gives me very low IQ vibes. And when you have a low IQ, sometimes you're not really able to articulate maybe what you wanted or meant to say. Instead, you just word vomit and you're like, what? What's the problem? So part of me is like, oh, maybe she's just, maybe that's just what we're dealing with. But then a part of me is like, at some point we've got to take responsibility and do some self-development, self-awareness, some training, because this isn't the first or second time that she's done something on social media to piss people off. So there's that part too, is I'm like, I really want to give her the benefit of the doubt, but I'm like, this is the fourth time I'm going to have to give her the benefit of the doubt. So I'm on that road. You know what I'm saying? I try to look for the best in people. I really tried to give them the benefit of the doubt. I really tried to give grace and be on the side where I'm like, oh, let's let them, give them a chance. Let's help them get better. But at some point, sometimes people choose just not to get better. Sometimes people just choose not to develop or, to have some self-awareness or to read a book, on that. And then I can speak for myself personally. I have found that I'm not always the best articulating what I mean either and what my intentions are, but I've been able to recognize that and I can see it. And I'm like, yeah, that came across way different than I wanted it to. Let me get to the root of that problem. Why do I have those thought processes? And have figured that out along the way, whether it's been a trauma response or my ADHD or dyslexia, all of these things. And I'm like, okay, so great. But how do I fix that? How do I make that better? How can I live my life? And, all those things. So I read a lot of self-development books. I watch a lot of podcasts on how to articulate yourself and learning, how to work with people and communicate with people on a way that's not going to hopefully offend them. And, you can only do so much, of course, too. But my point is, nobody's perfect and nobody just hardly ever comes out of the womb being able to really articulate and to get a room full of people to understand and respect them, even with such different views, without pissing them off really bad. So it takes development and it takes work. And for me and her, I'm like, girl, I get it. Maybe that's not what you meant, but this is how it came across. So you've got to take responsibility for that. You've got to mean your apology and you got to work on that. And so for me, I'm like, when I see myself, I'm like, I don't want to come across that way and I want to be better and I want to be wiser and I want to be well-rounded and put together. So I put in the work. Girl, this is your fourth issue that people have had with you on social media. You'd think by now, you'd do some media training, you'd read a book every once in a while that is about some self-development or learning how to communicate or how the mind, just so many things. So for me, I'm like, I really want to give her the benefit of the doubt, but at some point I'm like, you need to take responsibility because this is getting way out of hand. And this is a prime example. The way she just said, I feel like a lot of you took it out of context or it's almost a form of gaslighting without even realize she's gaslighting us and saying well, no, you're the one who misunderstood. No, you're the one. It's no, girl, when you said that the sky was blue and I said, hey, you said that the sky was blue and you're like, no, well, I meant was the sky was this light baby turquoise, blah, 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 blah. And you misunderstood. No, girl, you said what you said. So normal people are going to take it how you said it. And maybe that's not what you meant. So then you go, oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that? That's my bad. What I should have said was this, and I apologize for it coming across the way I did not mean it. And then shut up, and then stop talking after that. People will respect that and take it better than you going, well, that's not what I meant. I'm sorry, but you misconstrued it. You did this. Okay, she needs media training.
Said, a lot of the stuff that I was talking about wasn't always necessarily about the current team because I love and support all the girls that made it and I'm so proud of them. It was more about going back into my own gym, just the work ethic is different compared to when we were doing gymnastics in the Marta era, and I'm not sticking up for Marta or saying what she did was good. I'm just saying it was different. So anyway, sorry for anything that got out of context or seemed hurtful. That is never my intentions. And seriously, throughout the video, I was so pumped for the girls, and it was so fun watching trials and doing a live with everybody. I love those girls, and I'm seriously so happy for them. So I would never do anything to make them feel otherwise. So sorry if that came out wrong. That was not my intentions at all.
In the sense.
Okay, here's the other issue that she said. It's the work ethic comment. Now, whether she was talking about the Olympic girls' work ethic or not, I feel like that comment just wasn't necessary or relevant. I don't know whether it's the Olympic team's work ethic, your club team's work ethic, whoever you were meaning to talk about, why was work ethic being brought up? So that's like another weird thing that was said that I think it just dug her deeper into this hole, because unless you're trying to give a constructive criticism or you're actually trying to solve a problem where there actually is one, the work ethic comment just, I feel, is unnecessary. So when she said that, it just pissed a lot of people off, especially because a lot of people still, think that she was talking about the Olympic team, and I'm still unclear who she was talking about, because the edits I see on Twitter, you can tell they were spliced together. So it does look like she's talking about the Olympic team, but I never saw the original video on her YouTube because she deleted it. So I did see one clip where it wasn't edited, and I was like, oh, she wasn't talking about the Olympic team on that part. She was talking about her club team, ? It's still unclear to me. But honestly, it's irrelevant to me who she's talking about, because the whole comment of the work ethic is poor, or whatever she said verbatim, is unnecessary, and it didn't solve or help anything. And it doesn't make sense to me, because she's talking about the Marta era compared to the post-Marta era, and how the work ethic in the Marta era was better. No, it wasn't. The difference in the Marta era to now, logically thinking, look, you're going to have people and gymnasts who have hard work ethic and don't when Marta was in charge. You're going to have gymnasts and people that have good work ethic or not when Marta wasn't in charge. It's not about Marta. What I think, and this is a separate conversation I'm about to get into, what I think Mykayla doesn't realize, maybe because of her own trauma and she's blinded by it, I don't think Mykayla realizes the difference between the Marta era and the era maybe now is that the fear is no longer there as much anymore. It's a different fear. Maybe there's just no fear at all. And it doesn't seem like it with the way that the girls act and the people that are in charge. It seems like a complete, if you can make a 180 be more obvious, like I just feel like that's what we're in, and I love it. Because you can see that it's working. Our kids are happy. I say kids, they're like my age, but and Hesley's a kid, but these women and these young women and these kids, everyone in this elite world, they just seem happier, and they're still really good. Obvious. Look at Simone. I don't think she's ever been better. So, and look at Jade and look at Jordan. Look at all these people coming back that, and that used to be such a taboo thing, is like you couldn't come back, whatever the case may be. And so you see all of these people coming back and they're happy. So obviously us being fearful and miserable, that wasn't the Krabby Patty secret formula, or else we wouldn't be very good right now. So I think that is the difference between the Marta era and now. And I can speak from that firsthand. I was an elite from 2008 to 2010, middle of 10, 11, 10. And so I was, in that, I was in the thick of it. I was at the Olympic Training Center every 6 weeks. I was an elite. I dealt with Marta firsthand. I've had her cold, bony, freaking hopeless fingers around my face at a camp and it was not in a bad way. I don't want to try to misconstrue that. I had won the camp, and she handed me my gold medal, and I walked up to her, and she was, saying her piece, and she would hold us by the face, which at the time, seemed kind of like, oh, that's sweet. But I actually think it was kind of a power move in a way. So what my point is, like, I've experienced Marta. I've experienced the Olympic staff. I experienced the gloominess of the camp and the no phone reception and the awful food and the manipulations and the mind games and the stressful, all of the stuff. So I can tell you from firsthand that it was fear that we felt every time we went to camp. It was beyond stress. It was fear. So I think that's the difference between the Marta era and now, and I don't think that's what Mykayla's understanding, and maybe she is now. Maybe she's waking up to going, oh my God, this whole time we were just actually being mentally abused, emotionally abused throughout this whole process. And Mykayla's mind is like, in order to maybe protect herself, again, I'm giving benefit of the doubt on this specific topic with her being going through maybe abuse. And I say maybe because I don't want to say she was abused and I don't want to say she wasn't. But based off her own comments, she says things like, I think I haven't been able to reconcile with my own experience during that time. So I want to give her respect there. And I want to kind of box that off, her experience with the Olympic staff and her Olympic journey with being an elite and all is, I think, because I had this for a long time, that when you go through that trauma or any type of trauma and abuse, your body will, your brain will do things to you to protect you. And I think Mykayla's been going through that is like, I think maybe her brain has made up situations in her head to protect her from things that she's going through. And again, this could not be true, but it also could be true. So I'm just speaking out of devil's advocate, giving her the benefit of the doubt, all that stuff in terms of this talking point with her going through the elite stuff. So I feel like for her, maybe she has been trying to protect herself subconsciously. And so she's interpreted things differently than what they actually were. And I think the situation has forced her to open her eyes and be like, oh no, we went through some crap as an elite. And that was a huge possibility. I mean, she was an elite. We kind of all had to go through the crap in order to be there. So I do feel sorry for her that maybe she hasn't been able to recognize what she's gone through, because as, nice as it is to kind of put that stuff on the back burner, it is actually necessary to head on your abuse. And I don't consider myself having been abused from the staff or from the elite world necessarily. Like I definitely, maybe. I definitely feel like there were some unnecessary things that scarred me and borderline traumatized me emotionally and mentally from that. But I have a lot of PTSD and trauma from an old coach of mine when I was really young, who was arrested on 26 counts of sexual abuse. And that's who I find my trauma and PTSD from. So that's who I like to base off of, my healing. And I had to tackle that head on. And as hard as that was, I have never felt more free, and I've never felt more myself and had the answers finally than until I took that head on. So as hard as it is taking it head on, the relief and the outcome and the reward for being able to take that head on is a lot better than you just putting it on the back burner. And that's what I feel like maybe Mykayla's going through right now, is she's put it all on the back burner to protect herself. But I think this has kind of forced it out where she's having to now tackle it head on. And maybe she'll get help and she'll be able to realize that she was just a part of that cycle and system that was being harmed. And hopefully she can come to the realization if that was the case and she can heal from that. So I do really want to be gentle in that situation, because she's still probably a victim of something. And I want to be kind to her in that regard and respectful, because it's a hard thing to swallow and to get through. But it doesn't take away from her words and the stuff that she said, because she still does have to take responsibility for that and be held accountable. But I want to box off the abuse part and just have a little bit of grace and kindness with her, and her recognizing what she went through and then addressing, be like, hey girl, you need to really apologize. You need to really fix that part and not do it again. Because like I said, this isn't the first or second incident with Mykayla where she has said stuff in the gymnastics community, about the gymnastics community, about each other, that has just really crossed the line and just been rude and unnecessary and not constructive. So we have to take responsibility there and fix that. But we also have to be able to show love and grace and understanding and hopefully some sympathy for the things that she has gone through, and hopefully support her in her healing part of that while still holding her accountable for what she said. So I think all of that, it's a lot. It's a lot to kind of decompress and to try to break up, because they do intertwine, but I feel like we can box off certain things, like hold her accountable for things while still being empathetic to maybe what she's gone through. But still, again, there has to be actions behind her words, or did they just don't mean anything?
27-year-old shares her candid thoughts on the new era of USA gymnasts.
Besides Simone, I feel like the talent and the depth just isn't like what it used to be. Just notice
Okay, so you can see right there that splice. That's the video I'm talking about. It was edited to make it seem like she was talking about the Olympic team. And again, she might have been, because I haven't seen the full video, but then I have seen a different edit where when she starts the work ethic part, I think it came from when she was talking about her club team. Again, we already addressed that. I'm not going to readdress it. The comment itself is irrelevant to me on the work ethic. Like, why even bring that up? I don't know. So now tackling besides Simone, I don't feel like the talent and the depth is what it used to be. Okay. What are you talking about? Like that, I think I said, what are you talking about 10 times in like a minute when when I was watching this video, because I'm thinking back and I'm like, the talent and the depth aren't what it used to be. I just feel like it's kind of hard to compare because no Olympic team has ever really been the same, except for now, because for Suni, Simone, Jade, and Jordan. So 4 out of the 5. Besides this team, because it's 4 out of the 5 returning from the last cycle, no team has ever been the same. And I feel like even this team having 4 out of having 4 returners from the last cycle, I still don't even think it's the same team, because guess what? Almost no one stays the same every year. So even this group we have, they're different. Simone is completely different in a good way from when she was the last cycle. She's matured, she's gotten older, she's been through experiences, she dealt with the twisties, all of these things. Jade, she's been through college and training and developing. Jordan's been through college and training and developing. Suni going through college training and having, the kidney disease. Like, they're all very different women. And I think in the most, the best way. Like, if I had a daughter right now, I'd be like, that is who I want you to look up to. Because they are 4, and Hesley too, I don't want to take away from her, but Hesley is new to this and she's 16. So she's a great example in her own way. But these 4 women, with the things that they have gone through, pushed through, stood up for, and all of the stigmas that they have broken, that is everything I want my daughter and my son to look up to. Is it doesn't matter what the system has told you for years. If you know something to be true and you know who you are and you know what you're capable of, screw the system. So what? They've said we peaked at 16. Simone, Jade, Suni, and Jordan, they're really proving that not to be true, because they are all well past their prime per what old USAG standards used to be. And I think that's beautiful. So they are nowhere near the same team they were last year. And then Hesley's her own beautiful story, having been so young, and a great example of, never give up, and you shouldn't stop just because you're young. So I feel like this is the most beautiful team I've ever seen. And it makes me want to cry, because it is everything we've been saying that is possible. And you see it coming true now with being a little bit older. Like, Simone is the oldest American Olympic gymnast we've ever had, correct? Somebody correct me on that, but I thought I heard that in an interview. And then we have Hesley, who's super young. So you can do it super young. You can do it when you're, older than your prime. Because I'm not going to call Simone old, okay? I'm like the same age as Simone, so I ain't going to call her old. I ain't old, okay? Maybe I'm in my prime. I'm not. I'm getting 3 MRIs, by the way, on 3 different parts of my body. No way I'm in my prime right now. But my point is they're just breaking down so many stigmas that we thought to be true. So going back to Mykayla's comments, I'm like, of course the talent and the depth aren't what it used to be. Nothing is what it used to be. Nothing is the same. So you can't really compare. And let's just try to compare for, argument's sake. I don't see where the depth, we had 3 girls who we were sure were going to make the team, or at least one of them be alternate. I think Kayla was on the fence between being alternate and making the team, but Shilese was most likely going to make that team. Sky was going to most likely make that team. So to have 3 girls on the Olympic team or potentials have, get injured, and for us to still have the team that we have, a strong team, you can't tell me we don't have depth. We do. And look at our alternates. They're super strong. So again, the depth comment, that doesn't make sense to me. And then the talent, how can you compare that? I mean, obviously Simone's in her own league talent-wise, but look at Jordan, look at Jade, look at Suni, look at Hesley. Like, what do you mean the talent isn't the same? I feel like to say the talent isn't good or the talent's not the same, and then say the United States of America Gymnastics Olympic team in the same sentence, those two don't go together. They don't go together at all, because our whole country, in terms of gymnastics, we're one of the best in the world. We consistently produce some of the best gymnasts in the world every single year, and we're just getting stronger. So I think because we're always developing now to make it better. We are monitoring coaching better. We are monitoring the girls' hours. We are monitoring their bodies better. That is why you look at, the 90s, early 2000s difficulty in gymnastics, and then you look at now, the girls aren't able to do what they're doing now because the depth and the talent have gotten weaker over the years. They're able to do what they're doing now because new information and knowledge and technology and all of these things is getting better every year. We are learning that, hey, by the way, you should let women go through puberty. It's actually good for female athletes to go through puberty. Hey, you ever heard of carbs? Eat those every once in a while. You'd actually be pretty surprised how great you feel eating some carbs and some fat and some protein all mixed together. Oh, hey, by the way, you don't have to be as skinny as a pencil to be good and successful in gymnastics. Oh, hey, by the way, lifting weights, that's actually really, really good for athletes. And yes, even female athletes. Oh, hey, your sleep, actually, there's been new studies that you need this much amount of sleep as a female compared to a male. Hey, you actually don't have to work. Like, I could go on and on and on from old school gymnastics to now. So to me, the girls aren't able to do all of these really difficult skills because the talent and the depth are getting worse. That doesn't make any sense to me. And I think that was a really poor comment.
I mean, obviously a lot of girls don't work as hard. The girls just don't have the work ethic. And it's hard too because of safe sport. Coaches can't get on athletes and they have to be really careful what they say, which in some ways is really good. But at the same time, to get to where you need to be in gymnastics, you do have to be, I feel like, a little aggressive and a little intense.
Okay, again, 2 things to address. This safe sport comment I really wanted to address. The second comment, the media training again. Saying you have to be aggressive to produce a good gymnast, that was a really poor choice of words. Aggressive is not it. I think you have to be stern, a lot of the times, but I feel like that's just with kids. And I've also and she's a new parent, so I've read a lot of parenting books. She might want to read some, but I continuously reading parenting books or parenting pages and all good information on just the psychology and how the brain works as a child. And that's because I have my own child and I coach children. So for me, parenting and coaching go hand in hand because at the end of the day, I'm dealing with a child and children are usually wired, certain ways. And it's good to use this type of love and logic type of parenting and whatever. Of course, I know my girls are not my kids, so I don't ever step over any type of parenting boundaries. But point is, I always view my athletes just like my child, and that is that they are a child. I'm not dealing with this robotic athlete or an adult. I'm dealing with a child. So I feel like the comment of you have to be aggressive. No. Do you have to be stern with children? Absolutely. But not always, and honestly, not majority of the time. There's going to be times where kids push your buttons to see, because that's kind of their role. They push boundaries because they're learning themselves. So sometimes you have to put your foot down and go, oh, no. We're not going to do that. You're not going to push that boundary. I'm going to be stern with you and I'm going to hold you accountable for your actions and you're going to learn some discipline. That's way different than you being aggressive. Okay. The second thing is when she's talking about safe sport, I understand where she's coming from. but not really. It's safe. It hasn't made coaching harder. It's made poor coaches not be able to coach. It's made and forced coaches to hold themselves accountable, as they should have been from the beginning, because they are adults dealing with children. And I think that's why I get so passionate about it, is because from everything I've looked at and studied, and I'm always studying and continue to teach myself, because I'll never know everything, and I'll never know enough, and I'll never be perfect. Just like learning and understanding how impressionable kids are. It's so impactful what you do and say. So yeah, it's going to make it hard on the coaches that just want to be able to cuss them out or all of these things. It's going to make it hard for those coaches to keep those old habits and patterns, because we're not going to allow that anymore. So it's not that it's made coaching impossible or they're so confined. It's no, we're going to actually now set some boundaries. We're going to actually now hold them accountable and be like, you're not allowed to tell that child that, because that's inappropriate and it crosses a line and it's damaging. There are, stipulations in safe sport where we're always and should err on the side of caution with kids. So it's not that safe sport has prevented coaches from coaching. It's just forced coaches to find a way to push and be productive with your athletes without abusing them. God forbid. Oh, shoot. Somebody call the ambulance. We're not allowed to beat kids anymore. We're not allowed to abuse them anymore. Dang it. Shoot. Guess I gotta find another job. Like, that's so silly to me. Like, that's all safe sport has done, is it's actually forcing gymnastics coaches to hold themselves and others accountable as mandatory reporters, that we have to be careful about how we talk to kids. And I think that's a reasonable thing, because again, kids are very impressionable, and the way you treat them, it does affect their brain. I am who I am today because of the things I went through as a kid with my old coach, and I see the way he formed my brain to be what it is. And as unfair as that is, and I didn't choose that, as an adult now, it's my responsibility to fix the dents that were given to me. And I will do that. I will take responsibility for myself, and I will fix myself. I will be the best that I can be, and I will show that effort and do what I can do. Even though it wasn't my fault, tough luck. Tough luck. Like, that's just what, you went through, Bray, and you're gonna have to find a way to be better, or you're really gonna let him win. And I refuse to let him win. So I had to find, a way to be better from that. And, that's just what it is. And it's about holding that accountable, and it's about preventing that from happening again. And maybe that's why I feel passionate about it too, is I'm like, I don't want any of these kids to struggle with what I struggle with now because of a horrible coach. And I definitely don't want it to be because of me. So whatever I have to do, I'll look and stand in that mirror until it's sparkly clean. There might be some smudges here and there because I'm not perfect and I'll never be perfect. And there's going to be times when I say something I shouldn't have, or I said it in a tone I shouldn't have. But I will always, if it's brought to my attention or I recognize it, I will always take responsibility for it. And that's happened a lot. And I know I'm doing a good job of that when my kids come to me and say, hey, Coach Bray, you really hurt my feelings when you said it this way, or you really hurt my feelings when you said this, or like, I just don't understand, that kind of upset me. And I'm like, oh, like they're right. And my own kid does it. My kid came to me the other day. He's like, you hurt my feelings because you had an attitude with me. And I'm like, well, how did I have an attitude? And he expressed it to me. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't have done that. And that's what it's about. No, none of us are perfect. But I know when that smudge is brought to my mirror, I'm going to clean it and I'm going to apologize for it. And I'm going to try to never let that smudge happen again. But I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But that's all we can ask, is that we're always cleaning our own mirror. And when we see a smudge, we clean it off, we take responsibility, we say we're sorry, and we try our best to not let it happen again. We don't get upset because someone's pointing out all of these smudges and now we're not allowed to have these certain smudges. Like, if you don't want to be a part of the change, then just get out. Get out of the sport. Get out of coaching kids, because those kids don't deserve that. And that's what safe sport has done, is it's made us accountable. And I think that's the right thing to do. And I think that's fair. Again, coaches will make mistakes, and it's not about creating perfect coaches, because a perfect coach is a perfect human, and a perfect human doesn't exist. What it's doing is holding the really bad things accountable and preventing them from happening ever again, and definitely preventing the cycle that we just had. So I take it, really seriously and really personal, that part, especially with safe sport, because I'm like, safe sport's not preventing you from pushing kids. It's preventing you from using abuse to push those kids.
For Safe Sport is a non-profit organization founded in 2017 in an effort to help end abuse in athletics. Mykayla stepped in for Simone Biles at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics after she withdrew and earned a silver medal in the vault competition. The now retired athlete made the comments just weeks before the 2024 Olympics kickoff in Paris. Simone Biles, who recently qualified to represent Team USA in the upcoming Summer Games, seemingly claps back at Mykayla, posting this message on Threads on July 4th, writing, simply, "Not everyone needs a mic and a platform."
I think that's hilarious. I think that's so funny. I don't know if Simone was talking about Mykayla. Nobody really knows except for Simone, but the timing was impeccable, and the timing was, coincidental. But you know what? Wow, that was loud. If we can't hold each other accountable, and especially the people that are being talked about, or let's just say Simone's case, she wasn't necessarily the one being talked about, but her friends were. So if somebody's coming after my friend, you can expect me to be there. I'll come knocking. Come after my friends, So I think that's hilarious. Okay, you guys. So that's the tea as of recently. Since then, Mykayla did put out a formal apology. It was written. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if it was Mykayla, AI, her PR manager. I don't know. Nonetheless, I wish the apology would have been given face-to-face over a video, just really coming from her and her heart. And that's what I mean by, show you're really sorry, show you've changed, all of those things. Don't just write a letter, or maybe do both. Write it, say it, and do both. But yeah, she has given an apology, but my take is this is the third or fourth apology she's given over the last, since 2016. And for me, especially me personally, my love language is actions. So when your actions don't meet your words, that really pisses me off. Because if you're not going to do what you say you're going to do, don't tell me nothing. Don't say nothing, because all I hear is blah, 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 blah. I don't want to hear it. I want to see it. So for Mykayla, I have yet to see anything happen. I have yet to see her actions meet up, because since, retweeting that thing with her covering Gabby, she has spoken on some things about Larry Nassar and the abuse that were not it, and that did not come across well. There was that, and now there's this incident. So there's just been a bunch. I'm like, maybe Simone is onto something. Not everyone needs a mic and a platform. Again, if you're not going to media train her and you're not going to get her to read a book and do some self-development, she should not be on social media. Or have someone watch her videos and edit them. Don't let her do it, because surely someone at some point is going to be like, girl, is this what you meant? Oh, you want me to post this? Are you sure? Because this ain't it. No. I don't think this is going to fly. East of the Utah mountains, to say the least. I just feel like somebody needs to be there if she's going to continue to have a mic and a platform. Okay. All right, you guys, that one was a doozy, and that was a long one. Love you guys. Thank you guys so much for supporting my channel. Comment below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.